Hey everyone, so I'm Peter Malone Elliott. I'm an author, screenwriter, creative writing instructor, and developmental editor, but probably most importantly and most proudly, I am LM Elliott's son. I'm here today to talk with Alexander Sharp, the creator of the wonderful book trailer for Under a War-Torn Sky. He's also one of my dearest friends in the world, and I love him to death. Alex, hello.
Hello.
Hello. We'll say it very formally. Hello.
Yes, of course. Yes. Good day.
So that gives our viewers some context. Alex and I have a long history of working together and collaborating. It started when we first met in film school 13 years ago. We did a short film together that screened at festivals across the globe. We did a feature film that was nominated for a few Leo Awards. And then he even did the book trailer for my debut book, which came out a couple years ago. So I've been lucky enough to witness Alex's talent behind the camera in many different instances, and he has an incredible skill for examining the trials and tribulations of humanity in a way that's cinematic, immersive, propulsive, and it's just he's one of a kind. He really is, and I mean that truthfully, Alex. And I want to make you beat red. That's my goal here. I want to make you blush.
You're being successful.
Good, great,
yes.
good.
Yes.
So,
am I beat red yet?
No. You're getting there. You're getting there.
We're getting there.
So when my mom was talking to me about this a few months ago, about like wanting to make a book trailer for Under a War-Torn Sky for the 25th anniversary, we kind of looked at each other. It was like, well, Alex should do this, right? Like, yeah, great, Alex, cool. And that conversation was done immediately. So, okay. So with that in mind, let me briefly introduce Alex. Do you go by Alexander now? Are you big time in me? You going with Alex?
Formally, if it's a credit or a document that I have to sign, it's Alexander. But my fiance calls me Al. Okay. That's kind of what's catching on, and that's extending into the friend group.
Sure.
No, it's Alex. If you call me Alexander, it sounds like you're my dad and you're mad at me.
Okay.
Alexander.
Jeremy. Doesn't have the same ring as Jeremy.
No.
Which is an inside joke I won't bother to explain to our
viewers. That'll take forever.
Way too long. Yeah. We even tried to explain it to your family in Summerland, and even they didn't get it.
It didn't land.
No.
It doesn't. No. Yeah.
So Alexander Sharp is from Vancouver, British Columbia. He is known for his 2021 film Wired Shut, as well as his music videos, shorts, and commercials. Wired Shut was distributed internationally by MPX and 101 Films and earned 3 Leo Award nominations. His 2026 short film, Thank You, premiered at the Beverly Hills Film Festival, then went to World Fest Houston, where it won the Special Jury Award, and most recently won 4 Leo Awards out of 8 nominations, making it the highest nominated short film this year. Woohoo! His short film, Ziggy's Will, screened at Festival de Cannes in 2018, and his music video, Salvation, screened at over 20 international film festivals and reached 200,000 views on YouTube. So, Alex, again, welcome, and thanks for taking the time to chat with us.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right. So, to start off with, obviously, I know how this all came together, but for our viewers, can you walk us a little bit how this trailer came into being? You know, it's a big thing, right? I mean, Under a War-Torn Sky is, in essence, a big World War II sweeping epic journey, right? And condensing that into a trailer of just a few minutes must have been quite the undertaking. So what excited you about that challenge?
Initially, I lit up about it. I was so excited to do it because it's such an epic novel and an epic journey.
Yeah.
World War II, German occupied France. We're in the woods and we're running from Nazis, and it's exciting. And then another part of me was like, how are we going to do this for basically nothing?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I think it was an exciting challenge, and I don't back down from a challenge like that. And there's a number of ways to come at that idea. You know, there are creative avenues to. You don't have to get a cast of 50 and a group of dogs and a plane, a bomber, and a bunch of CGI. You don't necessarily have to have all those things to paint the picture of someone running through German occupied France forests.
Right. So in terms of kind of breaking down the 3 stages of production, right? There's pre-production, there's production, and there's post. So let's look at the initial pre-production thing first. So given, as you mentioned, this is, it's period, that it's a decently sized scale for such a short production, such a short film. So there's a lot to account for. There's a lot to think about. I would imagine that coalescing all the various, parts of pre-production, the casting, the costuming, the makeup artist, et cetera, kind of assembling all that team must have been fun, but also challenging. So can you kind of talk about that process a little bit, please?
Because we've worked together so much, you and I kind of know each other. We have a nonverbal.
We have a shorthand.
Yeah, and you had written the script in a way that I would have probably talked about it with you from a budget standpoint anyways.
Yeah.
I mean, you had kept it pretty simple, but there were certain things that needed to happen. And so the first step for me was, we're going to show, what is non-negotiable. We're going to show a kid, Henry, in uniform, battered, bruised, and bleeding. So I need a costume designer, because I don't know how to get period accurate World War II clothing. And I'll need a makeup artist. And that was my first step. Because I knew if I had those things, which is not really my area of expertise, we would kind of be golden. Right. I knew I could find actors. I knew I could shoot it myself.
Yep.
And I knew I could cut it myself, and I knew I could go to Greg, my wonderful sound designer, who could bring it to life in terms of, especially the aerial sequence in the beginning that is completely off screen.
Yeah.
He designed that soundscape. So that was the first step. It's just about breaking it down. I don't want to make it sound boring, but it is, my approach is like very methodical and checklisty.
Yeah.
It's like, I've got the camera, I've got the editor, I've got the sound designer. And I can get, there are actors that I can approach right now who would just do it in a heartbeat. Right. Marcel, who also did the Blue Ridge trailer.
Yep.
What do I not have? Let's start there. So I reached out to a costume designer who I met through a producer who worked with me on a different project. And I said, do you know anyone who can accomplish this? And they're like, we'll put you in touch with Tammy. And I text Tammy and I'm like, hey, Tammy, you don't know who I am, but I need a costume. What can you do? She's like, hello, nice to meet you. I will. Yes, I can help you. And she put me in touch with IMS here in Vancouver, which is sort of the big historical costume warehouse. It's insane. It's out in Aldergrove, which is about an hour outside Vancouver. So I drove out there, and it's like not even a place. It's like a farm, and they've got Humvees, they've got planes.
Wow, that's cool.
You walking into their warehouse, and here I am coming in, just getting a jacket and a pair of boots and a hat. Like probably the lowest customer for them. Yeah. And I walk in, and the warehouse, I kid you not, looked like Raiders of the Lost Ark at the end.
Oh, yeah.
All the boxes going into infinity, like a big Costco. I mean, the amount of stuff they have is insane. So we got that. And then I brought in Kate Rack, very talented makeup artist who did Thank You.
Yep.
And she's great. And we talked a little bit about, I think he had broken his ankle in the script.
Yes.
And then it ended up being maybe a gash.
Yeah, we changed it to a gash because there was, if I remember correctly, if the ankle was broken, you'd have to show Henry taking off the boot, untying it, taking it off, showing, and then retying it. That was too much stuff.
Yeah, and that's actually another interesting thing maybe to touch on is like, we caught that early on before shooting it. And I guess that comes from experience. You sort of start to know how things are kind of going to go down, and you know that certainly in terms of a book trailer that you don't have a lot of time.
No.
And so every second counts. And I mean, if he had broken his ankle as it was written in the script originally, he looks at his ankle and his ankle is purple, black and blue. And that, if you think about it, that does require these boots are, halfway up your shin.
Yeah.
It requires rolling up a pant leg, untying the boot,
Yeah.
pulling the boot down
Yeah.
enough for taking it off to then get to so we can save 20 seconds by pulling up the pant leg and showing a big cut.
Which looked great. It looks, I mean, because like there's a lot of times when blood effects and injuries and stuff that doesn't always look the best, and it kind of takes you out of it. But this looks so real. It was so great.
Yeah. That's Kate. That's Kate,
Yeah.
and she's awesome. I mean, I just want to work with her all the time.
Well,
she's such a champ, and she came out and did this thing, and everyone was such a champ. I mean, that's the fun thing about doing these projects as well. Because all these people I worked with on Under a War-Torn Sky were all in my last short film, Thank You,
right?
Which was at a different level of production, but it is really fun to jump back down to something really small that you shoot in a day with a skeleton crew. Yeah. And it makes me feel like a kid again. It makes me feel like shooting in my backyard after school doing dumb movies.
Yeah.
And I'm bringing all these professionals, and I'm saying, listen, I can't pay you that much, but do you want to shoot this fun thing in a forest and do a World War II trailer?
Yeah.
And I'm literally calling my mom and dad and saying, Mom and Dad, we're coming to the house. I'm bringing a makeup artist and 2 actors that you've never met before tomorrow morning. And we're going to get some Starbucks for breakfast. And then we're going to walk 10 minutes to the local park to shoot this thing with no permits. And when we were shooting, it's just us 5 in a forest, and the park rangers are walking by. And we're, Marcel's bleeding and I'm holding the camera. We all kind of deer in the headlights a little bit. And the park ranger's just like, hey, guys, what are you doing? And we're like, yeah, we're just shooting a little World War II scene. And they're like, good on you. That looks great. Great makeup. And they carry on. Maybe that's just Canada. But
I was going to say, that's in Canada, that would fly. In America, be like, all right, where's your permits? We're arresting you. We're taking you to jail. Yeah.
But it's fun, and I'm also a firm believer in, I'm also a firm believer in that you don't need a lot to do a lot.
Yeah, the thing I always tell my students is that, I mean, it's a different scale writing, a story as opposed to shooting something, but like constraints can be sometimes the most magical thing in terms of producing really, really wonderful work, because they force you to stretch and to use your imagination to go outside yourself. It's a really good practice, especially for creative work. So yeah, agreed. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
So that kind of leads in perfectly what you were talking about to the next question. Obviously, like you said, you use the woods of Vancouver, British Columbia. We didn't have the budget to fly you out to Europe, unfortunately.
Next time.
Maybe next time. And you said you shot all this in one day, which if you're watching this and you're not really familiar with film production, that's an insane time constraint to shoot something. So when you were there shooting, was there anything that was a challenge that you weren't expecting, like something that came up spontaneously that you kind of rolled with the punches and did? Was there anything like that?
The reason I love doing these book trailers, like I said before, is it does bring me back to sort of just doing things on my own in a way. I mean, I wasn't alone because I was surrounded by a few really wonderfully talented people, who were super necessary to this project. But I mean, when I get to work with less people, it's usually faster.
Right. That makes sense.
Things take longer with more departments, more equipment,
more things to clear,
more hoops to jump through.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's unavoidable. I don't want to keep going back to Thank You, but I do think it's a pertinent example of this difference. On Thank You, if you're going to do a shootout in a public arena, there are certain things you can't get away with on your own.
Right.
or at least you're probably going to be arrested by the local police because they're going to think that you're, committing a crime. So you need infrastructure there. And that's when really good producers come in. But if you design certain projects in smart ways, where you can shoot in a forest in the back, which is in the backyard of your parents' house where you grew up in, and you just have a few close collaborators with you, things go pretty quick.
Yeah.
There's no one asking you for a permit. Again, this might just be West Vancouver, but no, it was great. And I guess it is kind of a miracle that we shot it all in a day, but to me, not really.
Sure. But for people that aren't a well-oiled machine like you are, like that would be an undertaking, I think. Yeah, it would be.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I've also been doing this for
a while. Yeah,
20 years. So
yeah,
not 20. That would be.
I was gonna say you're not that old.
No. Well, if you want to count the ones where I did the Legos in front of the.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, 15 years. 15 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would like to see an Alexander Sharp Lego movie, honestly.
I can send it to you.
Okay. Yeah, you have them. Great.
I'll probably have to digitally transfer the tape.
VHS. Yeah. I used to do, when I was a little guy, I used to do movies like that on the big camcorder with play. Did you have Playmobil in Canada, like the little?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So like with those, yeah.
And Bionicle.
As what?
Did you ever get into Bionicles?
Bionicle? No. What's that?
Oh, those guys were cool. I love Bionicles.
Bionicles.
Yeah, they came in these like Pringles cans.
And then you ate them, and then you had to go to the hospital. It was all thing. Yeah. So talking about the last stage of filmmaking now, post-production, I think that's probably the thing that people who aren't familiar with the ins and outs of it probably don't think about, because it's all the things that go into it that you see when you see a polished film, right? It's all the things that go into it, like editing and sound mixing and coloring and visual effects. Those are like almost the invisible things that just make it look finished, right? But they're so important, and they're so vital to a film looking the way it should. I mean, like in this trailer, for example, like as you mentioned earlier, the beginning soundscape of Henry falling through the sky and careening through the trees and the gunfire of the planes, that was all done in post and sound mixing. So can you talk a little bit about that process and the things that you fine-tuned before delivering the final product?
Yeah. I mean, I wanted to make sure that we did this one justice, justice that it deserved, that the book deserved, being this sweeping, sprawling World War II epic tale. And the script is great, but the script is very intimate, and is looking at one character on the ground hiding from imminent danger, which we never see. Right. And so I think it was important for me to go to Greg, the sound designer, and ask him to do that opening soundscape, just so that the aerial battle off screen while you're reading a little bit of setup, just to get a sense of how big the story is. And that's an example of how you can expand how big the world is without showing it.
That's a much better way to say what I was trying to ask. Invisible is not the right word. Yeah, what you said.
Well, it's invisible, and I often find that I'm finding more and more, that is really effective. To play with what the audience doesn't see. Right. It's often more effective than what you do show them.
What's the famous quote? Maybe it's Hitchcock, but it's probably not. But like, it's whatever you present on screen is not even remotely as scary as what the audience imagine it would to be. Like, I'm butchering the quote, but that's like the famous quote, which is
totally. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I mean, there is a lot of things. This is related to what we were just talking about. But it's a little bit of an adjacent term. I mean, there's a lot of things that we were originally going to incorporate into the script that we ended up, or the film, that we took out. Like, originally we had, for people that are familiar with the book, we had a clean voiceover throughout the trailer. We decided to take that out. The dogs was an addition. It was not originally supposed to be in there. There was a lot of things that were kind of added as we went on. And that's kind of that's the beauty of filmmaking, right? Is it's collaborative, it's a team sport. You have to think on your feet and constantly be open to new things. It can't be, the my way or the highway, right? So that's, I think, something also important for people to keep in mind. I don't think there's really a question in there. I just wanted to bring it up.
Well, it's a great point, especially the dogs.
Yeah.
And when we shot those POVs for the dog,
yeah, right,
that wasn't intended to be a POV for the dog.
No, yeah,
I don't know. I mean, it was. I was just sort of getting B-roll essentially of the lens pushing through bushes, and my idea was at the time is like I could probably cut that, in with the reverse, which was Henry running,
right,
to create sort of him, running, breathing, and then cut to pushing past branches, and then cut back to him, so he's running through the forest.
Yeah.
And it just so happened that in the edit of it,
so it was a happy accident in post-production.
It was a happy accident. I mean,
Yeah.
it just sort of came to mind, like we should cut to the dog pushing through all these brushes, and it actually makes it much more intense. It's
Yes.
like, oh my God.
Yeah.
There's this like probably, snarling, salivating, I don't know,
Rottweiler or whatever. Yeah.
Rottweiler coming
Yeah.
after him. And that's again an example of something you don't see.
Right. Right. You never see a dog. Yeah.
A lot more effective to be in the dog's POV and to not see the dog, but you hear it snarling, you hear it salivating.
Yeah.
And it
just ups the tension so much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, my mom writes historical fiction for young adult and adults, and a big part of her audience is educators and students, right? So there's probably, hopefully, a decent amount of students watching this interview that are, maybe harbor dreams of being a filmmaker one day or are interested in the subject. Is there any, the pearls of wisdom you'd like to pass on to them, to the next generation?
Yeah, I think one of the best pieces of advice I ever got was from a business professor in university. It wasn't even in a film class, because I did a minor in business.
Right.
And he said, do what you say you are going to do. Which is really simple and kind of like obvious, but it is really true and really good advice. I see a lot of filmmakers and a lot of storytellers, talented ones, do say that they're going to make something and never finish it, or
Right.
never do it. And it's just, probably at the expense of fear of failure.
Right.
Or waiting for the perfect moment and the perfect amount of resources to accomplish something and put it out there. And that's included in doing, not just completing the thing, but releasing it.
Right. Putting
and
it out to the world.
showing it to people.
Yeah.
That's included.
Right.
It doesn't count if you've made a movie and no one's seen it. And I think if you can do and finish and release as much as possible, you learn a lot.
Yeah.
And you end up being better for it. There's never a perfect moment or a perfect amount of resources to do something or set out to do something.
Yep.
And so I always try to another line that I love is fail as fast as possible.
That's a good one too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, Alex. And everyone, if you haven't seen the trailer, go watch the trailer. It's fantastic. And check out Alex on Instagram, his website. We'll put everything in the video description so you can go follow him and like all this stuff. So thank you, Alex.
Everyone. Thanks, Peter.